ما أريد من هذا الشعب إلا أن يزيد في الحمد والشكر إلى الله عز وجل، ويزيد من محبة الوطن، ويزيد من العمل ومضاعفة العمل لما يسعى فيه من خير له وللدولة والأهل. هذا اللي أنا أدوره من الشعب، وربنا إن شاء الله يوفقنا جميعا على ما يحب ويرضى.
Honestly, I think I will probably get a little bit emotional when I say this, but when you move to a country as a woman of color and you are a mixed race and you're Muslim, but at the same time you have to work in a male-dominated industry,
Welcome to Pearls of Union, our dear audience, the program which shed light success wherever it shines, and the favorite platform for all the professional talents who make the difference and shape the future of the United Arab Emirates. Today, it's our honor to host Mrs. Sakina Dugawalla Mular, the founders and the design directors of Light.Func. How are you, Mrs. Sakina?
I'm well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the program.
Thank you. It's our pleasure, and we would like to thank you to accept our invitations and allow to our team to come today and have this unique interview with you. So in the beginning, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself to our audience and give them a quite brief about your knowledge as well as your experience.
Okay, so my name is Sakina. I'm a Tanzanian national who's been a UAE resident for almost 21 years. I studied interior design here at the Manipal University. So my background is that I am an interior designer, but I've been working in lighting design since 2008, having done my internship here. The thing that I'm very kind of defines me is this constant want to do better, especially for the people around me. And that's how I ended up in the design field of lighting, essentially.
So it's almost about 18 years of experience in this field. How you found the market here in the UAE, especially it's a very competitive market, as you know.
I think the UAE is the best place to be for anybody that is working in design, specifically for lighting design, because we have kind of like a blank canvas with which we can work with, because the nation itself is constantly striving in all other sectors to be the best at business, the best at technology. You know, there's always new initiatives. In terms of lighting design, it is the best place to be. Of course, there is competition as a result, but competition is good because that allows us to always constantly want to be better in terms of lighting design. But the most specific reason why I would say that the UAE is at the forefront is because architecture, interior design, and landscape is what really leads our disciplines. Our discipline in terms of lighting. So they're constantly changing the way that they design buildings, how spaces are. They're constantly challenging normal, I would say, norms in how we design. And so lighting, as a result, falls into place.
Great. So as I see from your words that I am dealing now with the leaders who like the challenges because you see already it's like an advantage. So if I would like to ask you, what was the major challenge you faced and how you converted to an opportunity of success?
I think the biggest challenge for me personally was the fact that I graduated when the financial crisis came around. So even though there was interest because of the internship I'd undertaken, there weren't many lighting design studios at the time in 2008. However, there were a lot of manufacturers because we were at that point, it was a pivotal point in the lighting industry, moving from conventional lighting technology like your normal light bulbs and your fluorescent tubes to LED technology. So that meant that even in the manufacturing side of things, there was a huge shift. And that meant also that they had a bit more of, I would say, a presence in the Middle East, because obviously we need the actual product to work in spaces. And as a result, what happened was I ended up working for them because that was the only job that you could find at the time. But the biggest challenge with working for a manufacturer is essentially that you have to use a certain product. So you are limited in terms of your lighting design per se. So, and then you come in as well as a woman, into an industry that is predominantly male in terms of not the balance of the workforce, but in fact the decision makers. So then you have to kind of like always start on the back foot. When you attend meetings, most of the time you are the only woman in the room. And then you bring on the multicultural aspect of the UAE, especially in construction, because we say design, but really design goes hand in hand with construction. And the construction industry specifically is very male dominant. And that means that when you walk into a room, especially at the young age of 25, you always feel a little bit overwhelmed, and because you want to speak about what you know professionally, but at the same time, you understand that the people that you're dealing with are also experts in their field. Yes. So you have to find the confidence to speak in terms of what your expertise is. So those are the kind of like small challenges that I found.
It's a great challenge. It's not small at all. Yes. So who were the biggest supporters to you, especially in the beginning stages of your journey?
I think I have to probably consider not just my journey when I started Light.Func. I think I have to consider when I started before that, when I worked for Iguzzini and then I worked for Linear Light. The biggest supporters have always been the people that I work for, my actual bosses. So they always taught me and pushed me to constantly be confident in myself and say, you have a voice and you are as important as any other person in that room. And so there was this constant, I would say, encouragement, which was great. And then, of course, through that, I met clients, and the clients, when you spoke to them, would always give you this kind of feedback that, they always thought about a light as just a light bulb, and they would make jokes, but essentially them accepting what I had to say was an encouragement in terms of that I could also keep constantly improving myself and becoming better. And then, of course, finally, it was now the journey into Light.Func, where obviously I needed the support of my family, which is essentially my husband, to say, don't worry that at the beginning you're not going to make any money. I can see that you're very passionate about this, and so you have my full support to do so. And then, of course, through that language came the rest of the peers of the lighting industry. So specifically, there's a lady called Eleni who no longer works in the UAE, but she is known to be the person who changed kind of like how lighting design is perceived, especially in the UAE, because she designed Box Park, she designed the Bulgaria Hotel, she designed La Mer Beach. And she said to me, I'll never forget, that I should be confident in myself because I have an eye not just for how products can enhance design, but the way I speak about light. So yeah, I've been very lucky.
Inspired words from her, actually, yes. So if I will take you back to the journey when you started your own business, we would like to know how was the foundations for the company and how was the visions behind this is a great establishment as well.
I think the thing behind Light.Func was that I wanted it to represent lighting in its purest form, which is that we light for people. So even when I was going to set up the business, the things that I looked at is to ensure that there's going to be autonomy in the way that the business is run. So I looked at different areas to set up, and to be honest, the reason why I settled on where we are here, which is Dubai South, is because I knew that there was a vision from Sheikh Mohammed to, develop Dubai further in terms of constantly looking at what is the next best thing. And apart from Maktoum Airport, of course, there was this kind of like business center that they created on this side of town, the same as Dubai Airport Free Zone. So I knew that this was going to be the future, and I wanted to be part of that future. The ease at which to establish the company is the other reason. It literally took 2 days. And then there is such a advanced free zone here where we are. And then when I obviously started, one of the other challenges, as you know, business setup is banking and all of this, the free zone itself was able to assist you with that, because that's really the biggest challenge, making that decision. Where am I going to set my roots? Right? So that was the first one. And then obviously the second one, which is the biggest challenge that I've ever faced, is that I come from a background of working for manufacturers. So then when you go in to speak to people, they think that you have a product based kind of focus, but we don't. The whole idea behind Light.Func and the name Light.Func was also that the fact that it is light, so it stems from light, and lighting is essentially supposed to be first and foremost functional, but at the same time it can change how we perceive space, how we feel in that space, and a little bit like music. And so the functional is now cut to become funk, because that's part of the musical aspect of it. So
it's like it gives a soul for the designer.
Exactly. So the idea was that yes, we start with function, but ideally we want to bring the soul of light into that space, no matter what it is. So going with that kind of, I would say, mindset to all of these new people who have never heard of you, because only the lighting industry knew who you were. Now you need to go out to the architecture and design industry and say to them, I'm Light.Func and what I represent is this. That was a huge challenge, because they want you to show them what projects have you actually achieved. What have you finalized? And obviously when you work for manufacturers, you mostly work on retail and whatsoever, but I was very lucky because I had a couple of clients that I'd worked with before who, as soon as I set up Light.Func, said, we want to work with you. And one of those clients was my client in Saudi, who had like a 7-story private villa, which I hope it's completed now, but it was one of its kind as well. So yeah, that was.
So as I see, that's Light.Func. It's not like any other company. It's not just sell a products of light. It's just give a design. It give like a soul to the place which we are created to light it for. So we would like to highlight it more about the solutions and the product you give it to these markets.
So one of the things that is our slogan is that we awaken spaces with light, and that space can be anything. It can be a retail store, it can be a cafe, it can be a hotel, a restaurant, someone's private villa. But we also have we have been really lucky, because we've been able to work on a hospital for Dr. Husnia, who was the first person essentially to really bring forward, IVF to the UAE. So when she built her dream hospital, we were lucky to be involved in that. But we've also, worked on dynamic advanced training, which is one of its kind in the region, for providing, I would say, training services to air staff. And they have full simulators But we've also been very lucky to work on a hotel like the SLS Hotel, which is one of its kind again in the Middle East, all the way through to master planning. We've worked on mosques. So one of the things and the reason of the slogan is the copywriter who came up with it looked at our projects, and she said, even though she's based in the UAE, that what she sees truly different for us is that we don't approach every project the same way. There is a process that we follow, correct? But each of those processes is very individual to the person, to the client, to the people you're working with, the region, the history. Sometimes it's a refurb. And so that's where I think we're a little bit different, because you can come to us with a very small cafe, or you can come to us with a very large village, and we're able to give you the exact same service no matter what it is.
My questions, because as you started to speak about the achievement and the project you already done, we would like to know how you maintain the quality and the customer satisfactions when you deal with a different category of customers like individuals or commercials. So how you maintain the quality and the satisfactions as well?
I think sometimes I always say to people that I'm a little bit of a therapist. Because I listen first, and that's one of the things that my first boss told me. He said, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. You must listen first and then speak. So when I'm working with an individual client, I need to understand for them, if, for example, if it's their private house, are they married? What culture do they come from? Do they have their in-laws come around? How do they interact as a family? Do they have a separate family area, a separate formal area? Because it's the same in my culture. So you really need to kind of understand how those people live, how they move in from day to day, if they work from home, at different times of day that they eat, how they interact in the weekends. And by doing that, we're able to then understand their movement, their function in the space. And then we also kind of speak to their, not kind of, very much so, speak to the interior designer, the architect, to understand their vision of what they created, because lighting works hand in hand with those disciplines. And then we basically start to look at how we can balance our functional light with an aesthetic take. And similarly, when we're working on a project, let's say if it's a government project or there's a developer that is involved, the teams are bigger, and we have a lot of coordination meetings. We are constantly asking if we could sit together and really listen to kind of like the understanding of the project from a sustainability perspective, from an integration perspective. Budgets as well are big, understanding even the project timelines. So once we know that, we then, because we're now a team of 19, soon to be 21, and we're opening the studio in Tanzania to facilitate actually the projects here. And it's not because we don't want the team here, it's just the more people that you have, the more you have to manage them. Right. So if you have too many people, the quality will end up going out of the door, so to speak, or out of the window. So by keeping our teams, we divide them into sections where you're not way too overloaded by too many projects, because you have to be able to retain information. So we always have a senior leading a team of 4, and now we're teams of 3, and then we will have extensions of that. To ensure the quality is maintained, we keep that conversation open from the beginning till the end. Because I can't, for example, if you're my client, I speak to you at the beginning, but in between I have to speak to the project manager because he's the one running the project. But at all times I have to remember what it was that we discussed and agreed upon. Because if I'm able to deliver that, then you are satisfied. And to be honest, that's how we've grown. To date, all the work that we've done has been through recommendation and word of mouth, because mostly what people say is if you want someone to work on your project and put your project first beyond anything, no egos, no issues, no breakdown in communication, then go to Light.Func.
That's right. This is the key of success, actually. So if you would like to speak about the UAE as a country, as you know, it's been defined as a global business hub. So how this country with its rules and regulations help you to grow your own business?
Honestly, we talk about it all the time. I don't think that I would have been able to run or set up a studio in almost 10 years the way that I have if it wasn't for the UAE. I like that they have a very proactive approach, and I say they, but I feel like we, because I moved here when I was 22 and I've been here 21 years, so you do the math, you'll know my age now. It's because they're always challenging the norm, right? Setting up a business or even registering for DIWA nowadays is just an online situation. So there is a lot of investment from their side in technology. They put in leaders that are, forward thinking. They invest constantly as well in terms of corporate responsibility within the government. And we see that, and we also employ it, I think, in the private sector. I also specifically love the fact that since we even moved to VAT and the corporate tax, it has been the smoothest process ever. You just have a platform. You can get on the government online services. You can get who you can work with to get your audits done, your accounts done, because at the end of the day, you're building a business. So the back end needs to be able to run for you to do design. And so because the UAE has set up the back end so efficiently, it's a dream to work here.
Exactly, that's right. It's a land of opportunity, as we see always. So, if I will ask you, in the technology sectors, how have you been adapting to the new technology in your company?
The problem with lighting is that for us, technology means quite a few things. One is the software that we use. So obviously, you have to invest in the latest software. But at the same time, that software is not very specific to lighting. It's also software that is being used by the other disciplines. So we invest very heavily in terms of software. The people that we have in the office, including myself, every time we have a new technology come out, we do something called professional practice and just essentially CPD, continued professional development, where we go and attend conferences. I have a colleague, Binesh, who is our BIM lead. He is constantly going to classes to understand how he can make our workflow efficient. So that's to do with software. And then, of course, we have the technology side, which is to be able to design really well and give really amazing solutions. We need to understand what is out there. And there are a lot of things, especially now that AI has come into play. We've got to understand LED technology. We have to understand driver technology, dimming. We're moving away a lot from analog to digital. So we need to understand how the digital sector fits into lighting, and not just to produce light, but also how it can feed back information into a mainframe that can help with maintenance, that can help with security, that can help with energy saving as well. So what we do is we're constantly out there studying at the same time as we work.
Okay, so if we would like to speak about sustainability, as you know, it's a main core for everyone, not only for organizations, but also as individuals. So what is the message you do in your company to impact our environments?
It's actually, so every time we start a project, we always request if there is a sustainability target towards it. But beyond that, what we're always trying to strive from a professional practice perspective is we should consider at all times what is the best sustainable practice we should use for that project. So if it's an office, if it's a home, if it's a master plan, we look at, first of all, where is the project located? And we get online to understand, there is a website that shows you light pollution, to understand where that project is based in terms of how much ambient light we've got in the atmosphere. And that allows us to start to put in benchmarks to say, this project is in a high CBD area or it's in a rural area. And therefore, the way that we design has to be respectful as to what we're doing to the night sky. So even though we're allowed to go brighter in some places, what we look at specifically in terms of sustainability is the most efficient sources of light. So for each bulb, how much light are we getting is very important. But it's not just about the light source. We try to understand from a technology perspective the lenses, the drivers, how they are going in the future, in the long term, going to kind of support that sustainability initiative of the project. At the end of the life cycle, what are we now doing with the fixtures because light will eventually die and it will eventually reduce. So we set from the beginning what we're going to achieve together as a project team, not just as lighting. And so we have to coordinate with electrical, even mechanical at times, to ensure that initiative is now going to be followed through. And what that does is it gives our clients, first of all, on an individual basis, something in terms of their return on investment, because now at the end of the day, whether you invest in lighting design or architecture, you are spending money, and we need to make sure that money is going to good use. So sustainability now is not just about energy saving, it's about the full life cycle of the project. The other thing that we do is we're constantly reading up and again attending more talks and conferences from experts to see how we can achieve that goal better. So as we move to the kind of like carbon zero goal that the UAE has, one of the things that we try to do as a studio is, for example, we have a master plan, but the client doesn't necessarily want to pull cables to put dimming everywhere. So we start to talk to manufacturers who make light fixtures and say, how can we make it so that the infrastructure needs less time and also is future-proof? Can I make the lights dimmable? Can you give me a plug where I can plug in and it can work with, let's say, NEMA or Zaga, which are protocols that we already use with the other disciplines in terms of being able to control that. We also study the International Dark Sky Association manual to say, what are the things that we can do, even though we don't have to, what are the things that we can do to ensure that we're doing the best that we can for that project.
So last but never least, Mrs. Sakina, we would like to ask you to deliver an advice for two sectors actually. One for the women who are still afraid to feel and go to any industry. They said maybe this is for men, maybe we cannot. So you are an idol for them now from your field actually. And the second one for the new generations who are interested in the same field of you. So what would you like to tell them?
Well, as a woman, I can say that we have to fulfill many roles. We have to be a mother at some point. We have to be a wife. We have to be a sister, a daughter. Those things are already geared up to make you stronger because we have to fulfill so many roles. And if we can do those roles, then you can do anything. Honestly, all you have to do is walk in and say to yourself, I am whatever your name is. I have studied through this. I know my stuff. So when you go in, what you project is essentially what people will respond to. So be confident in yourself. And as for the new generation, I think that you are so lucky because you have so many tools that we didn't even have growing up. So use those tools. But one of the things that is also a deterrent are those tools like social media. So, don't read too much into what people show you. There is no get rich quick scheme. You still have to get up, but you have to follow through. I remember my tennis instructor telling me that the best tennis players in terms of the serve isn't just about throwing the ball up, it's the follow through on your serve. So whatever you decide to do, don't give up, because some days you will have bad days, some days you'll have good days. They're never going to be consistent. My day today started very badly, but it will end very well, I'm sure. So don't give up.
Thank you so much for this inspiring advice for both field women and also the new generations. And we concluded our episode for today by a word from heart to heart to all the highness here in the UAE, to thank them for their effort to keep our lives safe and also success. So what would you like to tell them?
Honestly, I think I will probably get a little bit emotional when I say this, but when you move to a country as a woman of color and you are mixed race and you're Muslim, but at the same time you have to work in a male-dominated industry, There are times that we finish work so late, and I remember working on the National Day in Hatta, where I finished work at like 3 o'clock in the morning. But there is no other country that I could do that, first of all, to work such long hours or have it facilitated, but also to just feel so safe that I can get in my car and just sit there for half an hour or drive all the way. The way that you've supported women is beyond anything that I have ever experienced. And I know a lot of people who live all around the world, in the UK, in the US, in Australia, in Africa. This is the safest and best platform for any woman in the world that could come, be themselves, be on their own, and just succeed. And it's all thanks to you, all of you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this word. I really love it. And thanks, of course, for the UAE. And not last, we had to thank you all, Mrs. Sakina Mular, for allowing us to come today and have you in our Pillars of Union. It was a great.
It has been an absolute pleasure. It's just so nice to have, a TV channel that comes out and talks to the people on the ground, especially about things that people don't even know about. Because most of us just walk into a space and think that the light is just there. But there's somebody who actually, like me, who actually made it look that way and allows you to be able to work and feel that very specific way. So thank you so much for bringing our industry to the forefront.
Thank you too much. It's our pleasure, actually, and our mission as a TV also.
Thank you.
Thank you, our dear audience, for keep watching. Please wait for us at the next episode by next week. From Pillars of Union, this is Huleya El Ginti. Goodbye.